Hello, welcome back. Happy you could join me here today. Today I'm going to be creating a few little elements to send off in a swap. I'm in the June swap at Paper Inspirations, and the challenge is to use one of Sue's digitals to make some embellishments. So that's what I'm doing. I'm using the mushrooms kit. So the first thing I'm going to make is an envelope, and I've cut a piece of the paper to 8 1/4 inches square. So I'm going to follow the instructions on my envelope making board. I can't remember what it's called actually, but anyway, it's the tool you use to make envelopes. So it says there to start at 3 1/4, I think it was. So if you haven't seen one of these tools used before, they're quite straightforward. You line the edge of your paper up for the first measurement, punch that thing on the top and score down the crease which runs along the edge of that. In that blue bit, there's where that pointy bit is, there's a little groove as well, and you put your your scoring tool in that and run down. So when you push that little plunger, it takes that little divot out of your paper, and once you've done your first one, you just rotate around so that that pointy piece on that blue piece lines up with the previous score line. So they're really simple to use, and they do a great job. At the back of that blue piece, there's another punch, and that does your corner rounding. So once you've done all your punching and scoring, you go to the back of the punch and just all your pointy ends, just round them off. It makes a really nice envelope. I've had it for a while. I mean, I went years and years without one. I thought, oh, it's easy enough to make an envelope without a blooming special tool. But I do enjoy using it, and I think it gives you a really nice professional looking envelope. Once you've got your envelope all scored and punched, you then simply have to fold on the score lines and then run a bead of glue along two edges and attach the 3 bottom layers together, and then you've got your very pretty envelope. Now this is the mushrooms digital kit, as I said, and I tried to make sure that I got those mushrooms on somewhere that it was going to show up when the envelope was open or when the envelope was in use. So I'm inking around the edge of my envelope, and I'll also ink around the folds, and then use my glue to stick it all up. Oh yes, I forgot. Before I stick it all closed and create the actual envelope, I wanted to put some of this coffee dyed paper in the top flap that opens out, because I didn't want that white showing there. So I'm using an A5 piece of coffee dyed paper, and I'm just drawing around the outline of the flap, and I'm going to use my scissors and cut that out by hand. Once I've done that, I will use my liquid glue to attach that to that top flap so that it comes down below where the envelope, where you will see once the envelope is sealed up, or once the envelope has got the bottom section glued together. Time now to seal my envelope up. I just run a little bead of glue along the 2 side pieces, along the bottom edge of the 2 side pieces, and then fold the bottom piece up. Be careful not to get glue on the inside of your envelope and seal it shut. Now I also decided that that piece that was pointing up from the middle, I didn't want that there. This is a personal taste thing. Sometimes I leave it there, sometimes I don't. This time I decided not to. So basically what I do is I fold it down so that the edges meet where the top section of the envelope comes down, and then I will tear or cut that off so that it gives it a bit nicer finish there. Time now to embellish my envelope. Now the kit comes with an assortment of embellishments. There are some oval shapes, there's some labels, some journaling cards, some film strips and some postcards. Now I have printed them in normal size, and I've also printed them at 2 to a page size, so I've got some smaller ones to work with if I want to. So I'm going to just work using those on my envelope. I'm going to decorate the back of the side that's got the flap, because I'm thinking that this could be used as a pocket. So the back of it, or the front, whatever you like to call it, the part that doesn't open is going to be attached to the book journal. So you could attach it on 3 sides and have a pocket coming in behind it, or you can just use it, stick it, the whole thing to your page. The other alternative, of course, is that you could attach it with a paper clip or something like that, and if you do that, well, then you might want to add some extra embellishments to the front. Anyway, so I'm just going to work around embellishing this envelope. I don't go too crazy with embellishments. I'm going to use some fibres and some cut aparts from the kit, and that's basically going to do what I use for all the embellishments on all of the pieces I'm going to make tonight. So what I might do is put this on like fast forward, because watching me faff around at normal speed might be a bit tiresome. So I'll put it on fast forward, and I'll come back to you when we're going to, well, when I've got something to say. Okay, so the second element is I'm going to use that piece that I've cut off of the original piece of paper to make my 8 1/4 inch square envelope paper. Now I really love the stack of books on this paper, that's why I deliberately tried to save that piece. So I'm going to make a tag with it, and I'm going to back it onto some craft cardstock. Now this is 180 GSM craft, and the paper that I printed the printable on is just your normal photocopier paper, so it's pretty thin, so that's why I need to reinforce it a bit. So I'm cutting the craft cardstock to the same width as that strip of paper. Then I will attach the pattern paper to the craft. Oh, I can't get my words out today. I'll attach the pattern paper to the craft cardstock, and then I'll trim it down to the size I want. I'll use my art glitter glue to do that. Once that's done, I'm going to use my little old loyalty card that I've cut corners off of to make sure that I get the correct sizing, or so that they match up on my tops of my tags, because I don't like them if they're not even. So I'll do that, and then I'll ink around the edge of it using my vintage photo. Now I'm going to use my crocodile and add a eyelet to the top of my tag. I'm using like a bronzy coloured one that tones in really nicely with the colours in those books, but I didn't do a very good job of setting the eyelet, and it's a bit out of shape, which is going to make it very difficult for me to thread my tassel through, or it's not a tassel, you know, my tag, the tag topper. I'm going to use this cotton frizz ribbon. It's called Aqua Valley. That's the colour. It's a mixture of purples and greens and blues, and really pretty. So I'm just going to cut a piece of that and then thread it through that eyelet that is a bit misshapen. So I'm just going to thread it through as one thickness, because it's pretty, this frizz is quite thick. And to fasten it at the top, instead of tying a knot, which was pretty bulky, I decided to use a staple. So I put a staple through it, and you'll see later on in the video I do change that as well. So But at this stage it's got a staple in it and that's holding it in place. Time now to embellish this one as well. I'm going to use the embellishments from this kit to embellish everything. I will also add some cotton frizz. The one I'm using is called Iced Sage and it's a really pretty colour and goes perfectly with this paper range. Now I'm using one of the little labels on this, so I've decided to stamp on it, and I've got this interlocking alphabet and number stamp set. So I'm going to just stamp a number on there, and I'm going to use my VersaFine Onyx Black ink to do that. So I hope everybody is well. If you can hear noise in the background, it's bucketing down here and it's very, very heavy, so that's probably the noise you can hear. So now I'm going to add a little dangle to my tag. So I'm just going to use a bob pin to clip a wax seal and a little dangle that I've made using beads onto my tag. I have got a video that shows how I created the wax seals, and I'll link that in the description box below if you want to see how they're made. I will link everything that I'm using in this in the description box below if you want to check them out. So that finishes my tag. Another section of the printables that I really loved was this floral bouquet, and I wanted to showcase that. So I trimmed it down, and so I just trimmed the paper down to, I don't know, maybe about 3 3/4, 4 inches wide, and I backed that onto some of that same cardstock that I used on the back of my tag. Then I used my corner rounder and rounded the corners on it. Once again, I inked around the edges. I tend to ink everything. I'm a big ink fan. As I said at the beginning of the video, I'm making these items for a swap. Every month Sue has a swap over on Be Inspired Paper Inspirations Facebook page. I'll put a link to that in the description box. And yeah, they're always interesting. So yeah, I can't remember the lady's name now, but I've got her details, and I am going to get this little parcel off to her fairly quickly. Now once again I'm going to put this on fast forward while I embellish. I'm going to once again use the same embellishments from the pack, but I'm also going to add a little leaf from a chipboard kit. The chipboard is a 12 by 12 sheet by Mintay, and it's called Mintay Chippies, and the name of the actual set is called Nature 2 set. So it's just full of leaves and berries. To colour those, I tossed up about leaving it natural colour, sort of like a whitey colour. It's not like a crafty colour, but then I decided that I would use my vintage photo and ink over it, so that would sort of tone it down to that sort of browny creamy sort of colour, and attach that. I used the art glitter glue to attach that. I find that that works pretty well with bulky things. So yeah, and I'm also going to add some decoration to the back of this tag. There's still plenty of room to write on there, but just a little bit of something on the back that you can write around. I used a label on the back of the journaling card, and I stamped on that as well, but this time I used the Tim Holtz Field Notes stamp, one of the stamps from that kit. So I liked the embellishment on the back of the journaling card so much that I decided to do the same thing on the back of the tag. Now I had a little offcut of the craft cardstock, so I decided to make a little pocket with it. So I've cut a piece of the pattern paper I've folded about, I don't know, maybe an inch and a half up from the bottom of the cardstock, and I've cut a piece of pattern paper to fit and cover the back of that main section of the cardstock. Then I have also cut a piece to cover the front section that folds up. I'm going to ink around the edge of each of those and then attach them to the craft cardstock. So it was at this stage I took everything to my sewing machine and stitched around the edge of everything. And while I was doing that, I stitched that pocket up so that it was permanently attached there, and I haven't used any glue. Okay, so now I'm going to embellish again. The idea when I first started creating this little pocket was that I was going to put that journaling card in it, and that's why I stitched, because there was only just enough room for that journaling card to fit in there, and I didn't want to run the risk of having my glue spread out and take away the extra room. In the end, I decided that I didn't really like the look of that journaling card in there, and so I ended up making a couple of smaller journaling cards to go in there. I used the Tim Holtz Field Note stamp once again on a label on this little pocket. And now I'm going to create 2 journaling cards to go in this pocket. There are some journaling cards in the kit and I'm going to use those. I have backed them onto some of the tea-dyed or coffee-dyed lace paper. It comes in an A5 sheet and that will be linked in the description box below with all the other things. I have backed it onto that and then I've stitched around the edge of it, and now I'm inking around it. Then I'm going to attach some of that cotton frizz ribbon that I used on the tag. It's called Aqua Valley, that's the colour. And yes, I'm just going to glue that to the top of my journaling cards so it sort of loops over. It looks a bit like a tag top, but I'm not cutting the corners off of my journaling cards. Okay, so I'm going to just show you what I've made today. So I've got 2 journaling cards that have got the lace coffee dyed paper on the back. I have got a little pocket to keep those journaling cards in, which has got craft cardstock on the back, so there's plenty of room for journaling on the back of the pocket. Or if you're going to attach it to your book, well then you're not losing anything. And there's room on the back of the journaling cards, of course, for journaling as well. I have made a tag that has got a little dangle and a wax seal on it, and when I stitched around my tag I removed that staple and just sewed my frizz on. So that's that has got decoration on the back, but there is still plenty of room to write on there. Here we have a large journaling card with a piece of chipboard on it and a bit of decoration on the back, but still plenty of room to write. And then we've got our envelope that's got heaps and heaps of room for you to put whatever you like in there. You can attach this as a pocket, or you can attach it straight to the page, or you can attach it with a paper clip, whatever you like, or you could even bind it into your signature. So there's plenty of options there. I hope you've enjoyed watching my video, and as I said earlier, the links to everything I've used will be in the description box, so if you're interested in any of these things, pop over and have a look, because the digital is beautiful, very easy to use. I did print the embellishments on 200 GSM cardstock and they work great. They're very happy. So yeah, that's it for my video for today. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you can join me when I post my next video. Okay, bye.